I have a friend,
Okay.
and she's a member of the Catholic Church down in Massachusetts somewhere. Right?
Okay.
And she is very involved in the church. She does a lot of volunteering, right? And the church, I'm just setting the stage for you. The church it's part of like, it's almost like in a regional situation where they have like a pastor, minister, father. That's what it is.
Yeah, priest.
Father, priest,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And they have like a father in training, right? That's like at Boston College, right?
Sure.
So there's one guy essentially that he drives around to all the different churches in the region. And they have to like schedule the church time, so it accommodates his ability to travel from church in this town to church in that town.
A floating priest,
Yeah.
if you will.
Because the churches are less attended now than they used to be.
Right.
And they don't have as many people. They don't have as much of a congregation, so they don't have as much of a need for their own standalone priest.
Okay.
Okay. He is from, I think, Zimbabwe. I'm fairly certain, right? And his English it's pretty good, but it's not great, right? It's definitely an ESL situation, and he has immigrated to this country, I don't know, somewhat recently.
Do you go to this church?
I do not go to this church.
Okay.
So I'm just setting the stage here so you understand all the components. So we were texting with our friend, and she was complaining because her priest asked her to get all of these like gift cards for everybody who's volunteering. Like there's this big, I don't know, barbecue or event or something. And he's like, for everybody who's volunteering, I just want to get like $100 gift card or something as a thank you. Right. And she's like, well, can't we just buy these online? And he's like, no, I want you to go to the store. It's easier for us to track and reimburse and everything. And she's like, okay. So she goes to the store and she buys all these gift cards, right? And she's going to get reimbursed for buying these gift cards. And in the meantime, like she's communicating with her mom, who's also very involved in the church, and just letting her know that she's doing all these things, right? And so she buys these gift cards, and she's like, all right, I got the gift cards. And her priest says, okay, can you just take a picture of these gift cards so we make sure we track everything very easy for reimbursement?
No.
She's like, yeah, okay, I can do that.
Oh, no. Can you scratch the barcode off?
So she takes a picture of these gift cards, and meanwhile, her mom is connecting with the priest and saying, so, she's got all these gift cards, and the priest is like, what? What are you talking about? I didn't ask her to do any of this. So she bought $2,000 worth of gift cards and took pictures and sent them to the Gmail address that had the name of her priest in the email or whatever. And so because he's, from Zimbabwe and he doesn't have a lot of technological prowess and English is not his first language or whatever, she was kind of like writing all this stuff off. But yeah, she got scammed out of $2,000
on the church's dollar.
Well, no, because the church is not reimbursing her because they basically the fraud, like whoever was on the other side, coerced her under the guise of a priest to go and buy $2,000 worth of like Target and Amex gift cards and stuff.
Holy crap.
It's amazing.
Literally.
Literally holy. Yeah. But it's just so easy these days. It's going to get worse and worse. This is a younger woman. She's like 43, 44 years old, right?
Yeah.
So she's absolutely aware of fraud. Like she's looking for it regularly anyways. And yet this came at her in such a way in which she didn't question it, or at least didn't question it enough. And at the same time, she told her husband about it. He didn't really question it. Her mom didn't really question it. We got texts about it. We didn't question it. But we didn't have like the complete story.
The moment you take a photo
of the
gift card, that's the issue.
But I'm not sure I knew that before this story, honestly.
I was asked, this was like actually right when we were starting Ko-Fi, like, as an independent. Someone got a hold of my personal email and was trying to fish me for Xbox gift cards.
Okay.
and they were coming off as like my manager for something, and they were like, you need Xbox gift cards. I obviously knew immediately it was a scam, and I just started to play into it because I thought it would be fun. So I started to be like, well, there's no Xbox gift cards. Do you want a PlayStation gift card instead? And I was like, well, what's your PlayStation username? And I just like kept going through all these photos or all these questions. And then they just ended up giving up, and they actually ended up blocking me because I just kept texting them, asking how I can get the gift cards to them and all these different gift card options. And then they just gave up on me. I was just annoying them. But I heard this scam the other day that was actually someone got scammed, not on TikTok, but they were talking about it on TikTok, where I guess a husband got a phone call from their wife's number where their wife's name came up on their phone. So like Jane Smith comes up on your phone, and it's a guy on the other line saying that he kidnapped the wife.
Oh my gosh.
And that he was at their house, he had their address, all this stuff, and she needed to send a wire to do that. So this person hung up and called the cops and sent them to the house where they live. And the wife was just like sitting there like, what? And they were just like, well, we just got a call about an abduction. Are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. Then he called his wife's number, and she answered right away. That wasn't the wife's phone that they were calling on, but they were somehow able to mask the call so it looked like the caller ID of his wife.
Is that spoof? Is that a spoof situation where
I
they
don't
like
know.
they can get your SIM card?
I haven't
maybe.
heard of this, but I wonder if that's what it was.
I think, I feel like if we really kind of like put our ear to the ground and like became familiar with all of these fraud attacks, we could literally like every week tell a new story
About a fraud.
about fraud, and it's going to get so much worse. Like you can't even, we had an advisor that we used to work with, Dave. He would get like people calling him or whatever, and he would like mess with them, right? Like you did with the Xbox situation. But now, like you're not even supposed to answer the phone because then they can just take your voice, right? They
And
can
grab
capture your voice and capture like all your little tones and.
They could capture it from our podcast.
Uh-oh.
Stop the no, I'm just joking.
Oh no, that's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
So I guess my first thought is, what would you do if you got that call and they said Kaylee's been kidnapped? Like, what's your first fact checking?
My first fact check would be a text message.
Okay, yeah.
My
that's a good
first
one.
fact check would be a text message, or no, I would just go on because I have her location.
Exactly.
So I would check the location first.
Yeah.
And then I would continue to ask questions. I feel as if whenever there's some sort of spam situation
Yeah.
or phishing, you can usually navigate it by asking a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
I got scammed when I was young out of purchasing a car. Did I ever tell you this story?
No.
My wire fraud situation.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was really bad. So long story short, I really needed a new car when I was in my early 20s. So I was buying a used car. It's all I could afford at the time. It was online. It was a great price. So I called the dealership.
Yep.
And I said, hey, I'm interested in this car. The guy's like, oh, it's a great car, great condition, blah, blah, blah. He told me about the history of it. It seemed legit. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. Well, what about shipping it? Because it was like in Texas and I was in Buffalo. And they were like, well, you can get a hold of the shipping company. Here's the shipping company we use. Gave me the number for the shipping company. And I called the shipping company. They gave me a quote. It sounded legit. And I sent a wire for the car. And the moment I sent the wire for the car, the shipping company ceased to exist and the car dealership ceased to exist.
Oh my gosh.
It was a group of people that set up a fake dealership with the fake shipping company. And when I called the shipping company, it was like the same group of people in a room. And they ended up being able to like track down and like get me like a decent amount of my money back. But, I still lost like a couple $1,000, which when you're 23 years old is a very significant amount of money.
Yeah.
And, I had no idea that could happen at the time because I was so young and I didn't know how life and stuff like that worked.
It's so scary.
It is.
What's tricky for me, going back to the kidnapping situation, is that I have historically in my relationship downplayed things. Like one time I was at a training thing in St. Louis when I was at Wells Fargo back in the day. Their headquarters was there, and they would bring, the new advisors out for like a couple of days of training, which is like all the training you get. It's just like 2 days.
48-hour, and most of it's dinner and drinks.
Yeah, it's very intensive. And so I was out there for this training, and Jess called me. She's like, somebody's trying to break in right now. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, somebody is at the window trying to break in right now. And I was like, are they really trying to break in?
You sure they're not washing the windows?
Yeah. Or are they just outside your window right now? She's like, no, they're trying to break in. And I'm like, and they were. They
were. It was legitimate.
Really were. And I was just downplaying it, and I feel so horrible. And it's happened a couple of times where I like downplay things. So now, if I get a kidnapping call, I feel like my first instinct is gonna be like, I gotta take this seriously. Like, I have to learn from my previous mistakes.
Well, now, if you get a kidnapping call, you'll know to at least check the location.
Yeah. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for proof of life. Please cut off her ring finger.
Yeah, mail it to me. Don't pay for the expedited shipping. It's too expensive. Standard mail's fine.
Take your time. Oh, God. All right, so this actually...
Anyway, money rules.
Money rules. This actually plays into one of my money philosophies. I feel like
saving money on shipping.
Yeah, no, okay. I'm not frugal when it comes to shipping. I will.
I need it now.
I need it immediately.
Yeah.
I need proof of life right now.
I'm curious to hear how this ties in.
Welcome to the Compound Growth Podcast with Colin and Wheeler, where we talk all things growth, from financial growth to career growth, personal development to societal progress. We explore how each layer builds on the next, compounding over time to shape who we become. Each week, we break down complex ideas and emerging trends into clear, actionable insights. Because growth isn't just about numbers, it's about understanding the world and our place in it. The information in this material is for general information only, and is not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Investment advice offered through Integrated Partners, doing business as Ko-Fi Advisors LLC, a registered investment advisor. Integrated Partners does not provide legal, tax, mortgage, advice, or services. Please consult your legal tax advisor regarding your specific situation. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investing involves risk, including loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. The economic forecasts set forth in this material may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that the strategies promoted will be successful. Your situation ties in. My situation with the kidnapping does not tie in.
Okay, got it. I thought that's what you were alluding to.
The car situation ties in. So I think frequently as a money philosophy, I don't want to say rule anymore. I feel like rule is kind
philosophy.
Of like,
yeah. Guidelines.
It's the KISS situation. Keep it simple, stupid. Right? I feel like it's too easy to complicate life. I'm really good at complicating my life, right? And when we kind of try to strip things back and we say, why do we want this? What are we trying to achieve here? It can maybe lead you to a simpler path. And I have this philosophy and I really want to follow it, and I'm really, really bad at it.
So this is an aspirational philosophy.
It's an aspirational philosophy. I think when it comes to the work that we do with our clients, we frequently can refer back to this, like, when somebody's coming in with the best new private equity deal, or, here's
some fancy fund.
Here's a triple levered guaranteed annuity, or whatever it might be. Like,
with an upside cap of 3%.
Yeah. I think in this industry, it's so easy to make things like unnecessarily complex, right? So from an investment standpoint, you can look at things and say, all right, well, hey, traditionally stocks and bonds have already worked, you can do pretty well with these two areas, and maybe you can expand that and you have like a cash or T-bills or
gold or whatever.
Gold. Or
Bitcoin.
Crypto, perhaps, which is maybe a little bit complex.
Yes.
But I think that more often than not, you can keep things simple and achieve your goals. And when we are trying to make things complex, we have to wonder why we're making them complex. Like, what are we trying to achieve that the complexity is going to give us that the simplicity is not.
So keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid, which
Okay.
I can't say to clients because they don't like when I call them stupid.
You could leave out the last S.
Keep it simple.
But I totally agree with you. You had to have seen the graph. And most people, I feel like maybe most people haven't seen this, but on the x-axis is simplicity, and on the y-axis is effectiveness.
Okay.
And it's
Yep.
just a straight line going in this direction or that direction, depending on which camera.
Right.
But the whole point of it is to say that the more you strip away and the more simple something is, the more effective it becomes. And
Yeah.
I can't remember, maybe it was Einstein, I can't remember who said it, but perfection isn't what you can add to improve, it's what you can take away to simplify. And that makes a lot of sense to me. I think you did something that I'm envious of when speaking of the car situation. You're the first person I know that's like bought a car online through the dealership without needing to go in,
Oh, God.
and they just dropped it off at your house, right?
Yeah, they drove it to my house.
So you didn't have to go in and deal with any of that.
No.
That's incredible.
That was a result of COVID, right? I think they put this in place because of COVID, and I hope they still have it. I actually don't know, but yeah, it was a point-to-point situation, right? So there was no third party, there was no car broker, there was no shipping person,
Nothing.
I went to the dealer online, I found the car I wanted, and I negotiated very little, right? Which is part of the deal, right? That simplicity. Sometimes we negotiate, and we spend all this time, energy, and like honestly, I think I lost my hair negotiating. No, but it was just buying through a dealer, and the dealer's like, we'll register the car for you in your state, and we'll drive it up to you.
Oh, they registered
They
it
registered
too.
it in New Hampshire, yeah,
Wow.
and they were a Massachusetts dealer.
That's incredible. When we were looking for a car, to go to all the different dealerships and to
Yeah.
test the cars, and like the driving of the cars can be fun at times, but the hassle of going back and forth with all the different dealerships was horrible. Like, it is a terrible process. It is amazing that cars have been around for well over 100 years at this point, and it's still such a horrible buying process.
It's miserable.
I mean, Tesla and some of the other ones like Lucid and Rivian,
Yeah.
that is something that they really have figured out.
Yeah.
Go online, here's your deposit, just pay the cash and you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, say what you want about the companies, but at the end of the day, it's a very simple buying process. It's a product. To go in and hassle and negotiate is a terrible.
Well, that's the thing, is that
Experience.
when you don't go through, like, I understand there are some people who they really want to get the best deal, right? They're like, they like the negotiation process perhaps, but they also just want to make sure that they're not overpaying for the car, right? And I think when you go in and say, I mean, it's so easy nowadays to know what the car is worth, right? And I don't think you have to go back and forth as much, especially if you buy a Rivian or a Tesla or something like that. There's no like MSRP and then here's our price and then like whatever. It's just, here's what the car costs.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
It's just crazy to me that the advertised price with cars is never actually the price that you will end up paying.
Right.
Unless it's one of those brands.
Right.
But why wouldn't you just price it super competitively? I think the problem is the dealerships and the ownership of the dealerships and probably profitability margins, because each person owns those dealerships.
Right.
So it's its own business each
Yeah.
time, and you're selling a franchise product.
Yeah, that's
Which is
true.
tough.
But you, at the same time, like McDonald's is a franchise product.
And it's all the same price.
It costs the same.
It's a great point.
You know, or I guess it does change some, like, you know, there's a podcast I listen to a lot, and they record in Chipotle. No, sorry.
Wait,
they
what?
record in New York City.
It's a loud
podcast. They frequently buy Chipotle.
Okay.
And they're always complaining about how much Chipotle costs. Like, you know, their burrito bowl costs like $19 that day. And I'm like, and they're like, this is outrageous. I'm like, well, it doesn't cost me $19 when I go get my burrito bowl.
No, our burrito bowls are like $13.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it's just a reflection of where you live, right? Like, are you blaming the company for your choice to live in Manhattan, or you?
Or do you have city tax and state tax?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then that company also has city and state
And
tax
they
on
pay
top of
rent.
it. And they pay rent on
Yeah.
top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. So this, keep it simple. It's, to me, probably an additional leaf of that is you're probably paying more for convenience in general.
I do, but I also think that sometimes we talked about this complex versus simplex, right? So at some point, I decided that I wanted more time back on the weekends to spend with my daughter, right? So I said, I'm going to value that time at X. I'm going to pay somebody to do the lawn maintenance for me at that value, right? And therefore, I can, appreciate this extra time back, right? And that you can look at that and say, I'm simplifying my life by not worrying about the lawn, right? But what you are actually doing is adding a complexity to your life, because now there's a new relationship in your life that wasn't there before. There's new problems that relationship brings in. They're not doing the lawn to my standard. My lawn looks like crap now. And it's not because we're, in a heat wave or something. It's just they don't do as good a job, right? So, and then like there's managing them coming or not coming sometimes. Like, hey, you literally just like mowed my lawn to death last week. There's like a millimeter of grass there. Let's skip this week, right? And then I have to make that choice for them and communicate with them. And then when they come, they have to like move the trampoline around or whatever. It's just there's a layer of complexity that you could at first say I'm simplifying, and really you're complicating.
Because you're adding another component.
You're adding components.
What I will say is one, your yard doesn't look like crap.
It looks absolutely horrible. It's
I
way
haven't
below
seen it in the
standard.
last few weeks, but anyway. Last time I was there, it looked great. With that being said, I am very tight on my purse strings when it comes to paying for stuff in general, but you convinced me to get a yard service. And here you are complaining about it.
I know.
But with that being said, probably one of the best things I ever did for myself. And it's not just about, the convenience of the time, but it's also like I hated that process. I hated going out in my yard and mowing it when it was 92 degrees outside and having to deal with all that stuff. The relationship that we have is very great and it's super nice. Like they skipped this week because they said it was long, and they shot me a note and was just like, hey, your yard, it's really hot outside. It's not going to grow that much. We're going to skip this week. And then when it's done, it's always the same price. They do a great job. And then they just send me an Apple Pay request for $40, and then it's just done. So for me, that's been a great time add. But there have been certain relationships that we've added into our life that have, I'll say, been a time suck. And that sucks when you pay for something and it's an added complexity. Like we redid our bathroom, and now we have this like tiled shower and whatnot, and it's great. But now we have to like squeegee the tile and like do all this stuff and clean the grout and, make sure like the glass is clean, and it's, little things just add.
Yeah. I remember when my in-laws redid their shower, like, I don't know, 15 years ago now. And we would come home and visit, and they would say, okay, you need to squeegee the glass door after you shower. And I was like, why?
I do it every day.
Why? Like, I have to do this? Why? So there's no streaks on the glass. Who's looking these streaks? You look.
I look. I can't stand it.
The
water droplets like going down.
But I get that. And that's kind of like the way you feel about those water droplets is the way I feel about the lawn. And I actually enjoyed doing the lawn, right? Like I took something, maybe some ikigai out of my life, and I paid somebody to do that. And now it's a worse version.
So are you going to take it over?
I'm going to take over that part. I think that there's some
take
stuff
over
I
that
really,
part, meaning the
lawn.
The lawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm not going to take over is I hate gardening. Right.
I hate it too. I need to go out and weed. And
you're not allowed to weed anymore.
No, what I mean is I need to have Kaylee go out and weed. Because I can't be around anything that might be poison ivy.
No more weeding for you.
Yeah.
But I do feel like, I think sometimes maybe it's the right situation. Maybe you have the right reason. You're trying to simplify, and then maybe it adds a complexity, and then you just have to recognize that it is what it is, right? That's actually another of my money philosophies is just call a spade, right? Like if you are really into cars, or you're really into clothes, or you're really into dining out once a week, or whatever it might be, instead of excusing whatever that is, just own it and say it is whatever, a small luxury. There's some really nice French word for this. It's like le petit luxury or something. I can't remember remember the name of it, whatever that term is.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's okay for us to have these things that other people might disagree with, but are really important to you, right? Like, so for example, we might sit around the table here at Ko-Fi, and some people at the table might be talking about whatever below deck TV show, or the true lives of Mormon housewives, or whatever it might
My
be.
600-pound sisters.
Yeah. Oh my God, is that a show too?
That is a show. I don't watch it, but some people here do.
And so I would look at these and I would
Tori
say
laughs.
that is well, we can just look at Tori's watching
someone
history
watches it.
and I'll judge it for her. But
Don't watch that.
dude, you cannot accuse Tori of watching that.
Sorry, it's not Tori.
The point is, I can sit here and I can say that is junk TV, right? Like, that is rotting your brain. There's no reason that you should watch that except for maybe you just need to turn off, right? And if they say, yeah, obviously that's what it is, that's what it is, right? But if they say, no, I'm learning so much about the human condition by watching my 600-pound sister, or whatever it might be. Am I getting that title right?
I've never watched it.
It's not even a real show.
Yeah.
If they're like excusing, I just want, like, sometimes we have to be able to say, I know this was it. Like, yes, I was doom scrolling last night or whatever, So yesterday, Ozzy Osbourne died.
Oh.
Yeah, which is a bummer.
R.I.P. Big car guy.
Yeah, I did not know he was a big car
Yeah,
guy.
he is I won't get into it, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, sick
You
car
would
collection.
know that he's a big car guy.
I do.
But Ozzy Osbourne died, and it was like 2 weeks after this big tribute show in Birmingham.
Didn't he have a stroke like
Well,
15 years ago?
He did a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
And he has had a lot of health issues. He died at 76, which, honestly, looking back at Ozzy Osbourne, like, when the Osbournes were on MTV, he looked like he was going to die, and that was like 20 years ago. So
I didn't realize he was in his 50s there in that show.
yeah, like, he looked way
I
older.
literally thought he was in his 70s in that show. I did not know that.
Yeah, so he just died, 76.
Okay.
And this is an RIP situation. Like, if you're into heavy metal or just rock and roll in general,
You know who he is.
you know who he is, and he was very influential. Like, I think if I were to sit there and listen to Ozzy Osbourne for 2 hours, I don't know if I could do that, honestly. But I love some of his songs, and more importantly, I love how he really tried to help people in that industry. Like, he was a leader, he was a mentor, he was a father in that situation. So we were on YouTube last night watching.
Doom scrolling.
Well, I wasn't doom scrolling yet, but,
Okay.
but
This
we
is
were
the
watching
prequel.
the videos. We were watching, like, tribute videos or old performances or old interviews. And then I was talking into the microphone because I'm lazy and I can't just, like, type into the control. And I was speaking into my, I tend to mumble or stutter, and it tends to mishear what I say. And then it would just, like, bring up a random dog, like a dog in a pool video or something. So we're like, oh, that's cute.
Wait,
Let's watch that.
You were Googling Ozzy Osbourne, and this led you to dogs and...
Dogs. No, actually what it was, I was trying to show a picture of you bald on the Compound Growth podcast.
Oh.
And I said compound.
The truth comes out.
This was after the Ozzy Osbourne thing. So
It's a long night last night, wasn't it?
It's a really long day, actually.
Okay.
But so I said Compound Growth podcast, except for whatever came out of my mouth was not those words. And it brought up videos of dogs in pools or something. And of course the ladies were like, oh.
Yeah.
To watch
And
these
then they
cute
just
videos.
only watch them.
And then it's like, oh, let's watch this Tom and Jerry steak. You ever see Tom and Jerry,
Yes.
the cartoon?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
so
yeah.
there's like a giant steak. So then we're like watching this guy grilling a 50-pound steak. And I'm like, I was like, oh, I get it. I see how this works. You go into YouTube and you disappear for 2 hours.
Correct.
Right.
You
Okay.
emerge.
I had a window into your
Sometimes a
soul.
lesser person. Depending on the videos.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think the point is, when you do these activities, you just want to basically say, I recognize that this is not necessarily like something I should try to, if somebody were judging me for this, I should just, like, first of all, that's their judgment. And second of all,
Not yours.
Yeah. I don't need to explain this, right? When you've said this to us about your clients in the past, like, if my clients are meeting all their goals, right? I don't need them to excuse the 2-week trip to Italy that they want to take,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I think it's just really important that we don't feel the need to justify our spending. But I've had this sense of guilt attached to it, right? And I've been searching for justification and I haven't been able to find it.
Unpacking that a little bit. So do you find that, well, and here's what I'll say too, as well, is people's money habits tend to stick with them regardless. And I've found at least whether or not they're making $10,000 or $5 million a year.
Yeah.
And something that I've picked up on as well, and I'm curious to hear your take on this, and I want to talk about the personal situation you just brought up. But we've had clients go from making $40,000, $50,000 a year up to several $1,000,000 a year.
Yeah.
And their way that they treat money doesn't typically change, is what I've found. And if someone's extremely frugal when they're making $40,000, $50,000 a year, they're going to be extremely frugal making a couple $1,000,000 a year, or if they have tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And to me, it's almost more of a, it's not so much a number thing, or it's not so much an income thing in terms of your net worth or what you're making. It's more about what's going on mentally, which it sounds like to me with you is like, do you feel guilty the more you make, or is it like a guilt thing, like just recently that's kind of come up?
I think it is fairly recent. And I think that my spending behavior actually hasn't really changed. Like I don't spend ridiculous amounts of money because I was never able to growing up.
Sure.
Right? But my relationship to like just wanting something and like, trying to get to that thing, that's kind of changed, right? I think that if I were all along able to spend money and not worry about like the consequences of that spending or whether I should or should not be able to spend money, I think that I would have a different relationship to it now. If I think back to the times in my life where I wanted something and I couldn't afford it, and now I can afford it, it's like the want hasn't changed, I guess. Right.
The want hasn't changed, but the accessibility to what you want has changed.
Right.
So do you know Bill Perkins? It's like Die with Zero, I think is like his book,
You
or
mentioned
Die
this
on Empty.
book, yeah.
Yeah. So I was listening to a podcast that he was on the other day. Very, very interesting guy. He talks about maximizing life experiences. But something that he talks about is, this is a guy that's worth several $100 million and absorbently wealthy. And he was talking about when he was coming up, he didn't have that much money. But there was a lot of things he wanted to do with his life. So he got into a position where he was making an absorbent amount of money in his early 20s because he was like one of the highest commodities traders on Wall Street.
Okay.
So I don't know how much he was making, but it was millions. And then he started to do all these different experiences. It changed up his life and whatnot. But he was talking about his daughter. And he was basically saying, like, what made me who I am today was the fact that growing up I didn't have money, and the fact that I had to struggle and I had to grind to get to where I was. So to like rob that of my daughter to a certain extent, and I'm curious to get your take on this too because you're a parent.
Yeah.
He was just like, that gave me so much charisma, it gave me so much drive, it gave me perseverance. And he was just like, if I make life easy, then I strip that away. And I see where you're coming from with this, because if you have, I'll say, this backstory of needing to like work really hard and grind it out and, growing up with not as much, but now, you're in a position where you can afford the things that you want, it's almost like a part of your identity that's like, maybe you don't have as much anymore because that's what you grew up with.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how much of your identity is really tied into. So I guess pushing back on that point, because I've heard it before, right? I've heard this debate about how they should handle their improved life circumstances financially with their children, right? And I've heard people talk about college and they say, it's really important that I took out student loans, so my kids should have to take out student loans, right, or whatever it might be. I think their focus is on the money. It should be on the struggle. And what's really important, and what I have a really hard time with, is letting children struggle, right? Like letting them have a problem and not know how to figure it out, and have to figure out the solution. Not all problems have to be financial,
Of course.
right? I feel like money in general, when you don't have it, is an unnecessary stress. Right. And money can be stressful when you do have it. Like money is unnecessarily stressful. Like I really, really, really dislike the stress that's associated with money. I think it's really important to teach that, it's not teach, but I guess to put people in positions where they learn that they can do things on their own. They can overcome the obstacles. This is one of the knocks against universal basic income, right? Like if you give everybody a paycheck, then they don't have to fight to make their money or whatever.
Right.
I think it's just changing what we value. And if you want to, like, I just recently decided that I wanted to run another 5K.
Nice.
Right. Now, when I ran my last 5K, it was a Father's Day 5K like 3 or 4 years ago. And I got a time I didn't think I was capable of. I did like in 22 and a half minutes or whatever, which
awesome.
for me, I've always done 24 as my tops, right? Because I'm not a runner. I'm not that guy. Right?
Yeah.
Peloton tells us all that we're athletes. I've never really felt that way.
There's different levels to athletes.
Exactly.
I'm JV athlete.
Yeah, I am not a spectacular athlete.
Yeah.
But I was like, I got this time a few years ago, and I said, I'll never do that again. And this weekend, I was like, well, that was mean. Why did I do that to myself? Like, maybe I could achieve that time again. And now I have a new goal, and I can work to that goal, and I can try to overcome and rise to that occasion. It has literally nothing to do with money, right? And I think anything that creates unnecessary struggle in your life it's hard to argue for that existence. If you're talking about, food scarcity, for example, or wealth inequality, or not being able to afford to buy a home, right? These are unnecessary struggles. If you're talking about finding your place in life, your value, or just, being able to run that 5K or make that movie or whatever it is, take apart an engine and put it back together again, whatever that goal might be, I think those are really awesome things to work towards. They don't have to have any financial ties to them, and they can teach you a lot about life.
I think one of the saddest things in life is actually reaching your goals.
It can be. Yeah.
It can be, because it's not that like a don't meet your heroes kind of situation. But if you've tied your life so much to a goal, whether it's financial or something else, then you reach it, what's after. And I think the purpose of having a goal isn't to reach the goal. It's to always be having goals. To me, at least, that's what gives me some form of happiness. But, I resonate with what you said before when, you having some issues with that, because at the same time, like when I'll say we started our business, like I was just like, oh, one day, we're going to start this business. And then, once the business is started and it's going, you're like, oh, like I need to, like, it's done. What am I thinking about now? Like, what's this next big goal? And I always have to kind of readjust with that mentally. But something that my father-in-law says that might be kind of dismissive at times, but it actually has helped me the more I think about it.
Okay.
Which is no one cares more than you do. And I think to myself, well, man, like I really care about this. This is a goal, or how are people going to think about this, or blah, 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 blah. Like I have to take a step back and think, like, this is all in my head. Like this isn't something society's putting on me with pressure. This isn't like something Kaylee's telling me to do. This is literally just like my own personal struggle, and I just need to adjust because like it's your control.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually, I think that's great advice, and it's so relevant to, the majority of what we do to beat ourselves up, our internal monologue. Yeah. And it is frequently all internal. I think that what we don't need is to go put ourselves out there on social media and get torn apart, right? Because like we're already doing it to
Turn
ourselves.
the comment section off, Tori.
Yes, no comments allowed. No comments allowed. I heard this line in a why can't I think? Sabrina Carpenter. So Sabrina
Oh,
Carpenter,
love her. Yeah.
very clever, like lyricist, and she was saying that hot guys don't need to lie to women; the women lie to themselves. And I thought that was so clever because I frequently see. It doesn't need to be hot guys. That was just a lyric. I'm pretty sure. And that might be the lyric. I'm not. Now I might have just put the hot guys in there. What does that say about me?
Yeah, I know.
Anyways, the point is that I see people in bad relationships, and yeah, sometimes there's an air of inauthenticity coming from one half, but the lies that people tell themselves to make excuses for that other person are always the bigger evil, right? The worser risk.
We talk about this, Kaylee and I, sometimes. We have like a few friends who you watch from afar and you're like, what is this person thinking?
Yeah.
And when they make their decisions or go about their life or invest their money or pick a job or pick a spouse or go on a trip, like whatever it might be, or buy a car, like you look at some people and your own personal opinion differs from theirs. And sometimes you see people in this rough cycle and you think to yourself, man, if I could be in that person's shoes for like a week, I could like fix all of this
Right.
and just like put them down this different path. But what that says is it's not environmental. It is mental.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, and if you could plug yourself into someone else's life and change the habits and change the outcome, you know, then you could adjust yourself mentally if that is the case.
I think that's the whole ball game, honestly. More often than not, it's just like being able to do the work on yourself, or maybe we shouldn't even call it work, right? Just being able to go
Make
through
a
that
decision.
process, on your own. Tori, how bad did I butcher those lyrics?
Yeah, not too close, but like maybe getting to the point. It is, you don't have to lie to girls. If they like you, they'll just lie to themselves.
Okay. All right. Well,
Close enough.
Nothing about men in there.
nothing about men.
You added hot guys.
I added that, guys.
Edit that out.
That might have been in the interview though, so we'll check with
We're
Rolling
definitely
Stone
keeping
now
that.
to see if that was the article. That's God. This is like this was not meant to be like a therapy session today, but I feel like it's becoming.
But I do have to say though, while it's not a money rule, it is like mental guidelines that talk about those types of things. Like you have the keep it simple, stupid.
Yep.
You have the, eliminating, I'll say, or what was it, the like increasing the time, so to speak. The
Well, I think that's the keep it simple, stupid is that it's the unnecessary complexity versus
unnecessary
complex versus simplex.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then now you're talking about, now we're talking about hot guys.
Now we're talking about guys. So here's the thing. I think that what we've realized through this conversation is that it's all a head game. There's all I love that term head trash, right? Because there's just so much that gets stored up in there. And like you start young and everybody is obsessed with themselves when they first start, right? They don't care about other people because they're like 3 years old and they just know what they want and need and they do that, right? And then they start thinking about what everybody else thinks about them, right? And primarily they think about what their mom or dad or caretaker thinks of them, right? And that's when they learn to start worrying about what other people think of them, and that creates good things and bad things, right? Because it's really, you need, I think, to foster that like caring ability to like just, I need to make sure that I'm doing right by other people. But you can even take that too far and you can start to worry about what they think about you or whatever. I feel like that's, again, the same thing. Simplicity entering complexity. Everything's simple when you're just taking care of yourself or you're worried about just what you need. Once you start opening that up to worrying about what other people need and what they think of you and what the world thinks of you and what Tori thinks about me saying that lyric wrong or whatever it might be. I think it's just we make things so complex, and if we could just strip it all down, we might be happier people.
When you're on an airplane, and hopefully this never happens to anybody listening, but when the oxygen masks drop, you have to put your own on first.
Yeah. Have you done that? Has that ever happened to you?
No.
Okay.
Has it happened to you?
No.
Okay.
But
I'm
I know
flying
what to
tomorrow,
do.
so hopefully it doesn't. Where's wood? I need to knock
There's
on
no wood in here.
But I guess the purpose is like, before you worry about what other people think, you have to
Yes.
figure it out yourself and what your own priorities are. And I think this is kind of the crux of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Is prioritize what it is that you truly want and put that first. And ultimately you can take care of the opinions of other people, later
Yeah.
on in life, if you even want to come back to it. But I think knowing your priorities and sticking to those are really important.
I think it's so hard to do because you have to take time to understand yourself, right? And this past 4 or 5 days, we've had people staying with us, great friends, basically just an extension of our family, right? But it's 2 more adults and 2 kids in our home and in every moment of our lives, right?
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And I think it's a lot for everybody. Like the kids hit a point last night where they're just like melting down. They were falling apart over nothing, and they couldn't explain why they were falling apart. And
They just need space.
They just needed space. And it's really hard to find that space. And if you spend your entire life surrounded by other people or just go, and you can't take the space that you need to settle down and figure things out. I was able to, I think it was Monday, I worked in a run. Just like I took 30 minutes, I went for a run. And I was able to just be by myself for that period of time, and that helped. But I think the exhaustion of being surrounded by people and worrying about people and worrying about what they think about you can be a lot. And I'm not saying that you should just be selfish, but I think it's important to think about yourself and take care of yourself, right? And it doesn't mean that it has to come at the expense of other people.
So maybe what were we calling it? Money guidelines now?
I think I called it money philosophies.
Philosophies.
It sounds nice.
It does, money philosophies.
You sound fancy when you say it.
Thank you.
You look fancy when you say it too.
Thank you. Money philosophies. Perhaps the money philosophy is to know your priorities and stick to them.
Yeah. Well, and understand your priorities.
Yeah.
I think that's really hard for people. Like the prioritization exercise. We have a client. He just moved in with his girlfriend, and they're not like in their 20s. They're like in their 40s. So this is a later life combination, and now they have to figure out how to navigate finances together. And, they don't have the same financial priorities, right? They want to buy a house together, but they also both really enjoy travel. They don't like working. So that's, a constant struggle for them as well. So they would like to retire early because they don't like working. They want to buy a house, and they want to travel all around the world. And those are 3 really expensive things. And they can't do all 3 right now. They just can't. They have to prioritize. And also, they need a new car.
Just add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
Yeah.
Or do they want a new car? Do they need a new car?
Right. Need is a very strong word.
Need is rarely the case, honestly. I need a lot of things, but I don't really. I just want them.
Right. It's a strong want.
We have. Have you ever heard the term "your want monster"?
No.
No. This might be something that I read like a childhood book to Michaela one time, and I was like,
You told me about the Sunday scaries, and now Kayla and I talk about it every Sunday.
It's true. It's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
I feel like Tori brings them in on Monday mornings still. So I think the want monster the concept is that like there's this little part of you that really wants something. And when you're a kid, that can feel like a big, big part of you. It just like takes over. It's like your monster, right? And
it was a Lego street sweeper.
A Lego what?
A Lego street sweeper set. I wanted that more than anything else in the entire world when I was growing up.
How big was this street sweeper?
Very small.
So it was only sweeping Lego streets.
It was literally just a Lego set of a street sweeper. It had no function.
It was just part of like the city.
Correct.
The city playset.
I wanted it so bad growing up. Never got it.
Never got it.
No.
And how do you feel about that, Colin?
I got over it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's buried deep inside me.
If we're gonna go to your house someday, there's gonna be a street
just
sweeper
a real street sweeper in the driveway.
The Zamboni.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I think when you have that want monster, it's really good to learn how to like feed it a little bit, but also recognize it for what it is and kind of like tame it. Right. But in a situation like the clients I was talking about, when they have 4 really big, important things to them, it's going to be so difficult to prioritize because they are so key to what they really want in life.
Right.
And then it's just like if you're forced into that prioritization exercise, they might say, well, maybe we could live in this condo that we're in a little bit longer, right? Because then we can travel to Israel or whatever they want to do, right? And maybe I don't need a new car right now. I could wait a couple of years, and that allows me to travel back home to see my family in Massachusetts, right? So I think like you have to really take time to understand your priorities, and then you can really take that step further and say, well, what does that tell you about you?
Well, right. Is all the spending and all these different goals trying to cover up something that's really bothering you?
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. John Mayer is a huge avid watch collector, and one of the biggest. I don't know how much he has in watches, but it's like tens of millions of dollars. It's an insane collection. Anyway, he said something the other day that I thought was really interesting, and by the other day I mean a year ago. And he was talking about how everybody wants to be wealthy and famous in the year in which they originally imagined it.
Okay.
And like for me, as I go back, like that would be probably early 90s, like when I was really young. And like you think about like the cars that you had imagined at the time, or like the house that you had imagined at the time, and kind of all of that stuff. And he was basically saying like a lot of your goals come from your childhood's ability to have imagination. And like a lot of things kind of stem from that. And for me, like growing up, like, we never got to go to Europe or anything like that. We had other vacations and we were very fortunate. So for me, like growing up, I was always like, oh, I would really love to go to Europe one day and check it out and do those kinds of things. Or I wonder what it would be like to have a sports car one day. Or I wonder what it would be like to like live near the beach or something like that. And for me, I notice now, like all my priorities as I get older often stem from my imagination when I was young.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it all ties back to childhood.
Yeah.
Right. And I think maybe that's actually the money rule and the money philosophy is just like understanding yourself. Right. And understanding how that plays out in your finances. Because you're right. Like I don't want to say that it's limited to your imagination at the time, but it's definitely connected to some part of your life when you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
Like it's, let's say that, let's say that you always dreamed of being a professional athlete or whatever, right? There's I was hearing this story. This guy went to see his girlfriend's dad for the first time, and the dad brought him in to have the talk, like, how are you? What are your intentions with my daughter?
Yeah.
And my friend got brought into to the study, right, or like the cigar room or whatever it might be, but it was like a Yankees shrine, and my friend is a diehard Boston Red Sox guy, but it's a Yankees shrine, and amidst all of like the autographed baseballs and pictures and paraphernalia, there's a picture of the dad that he's having a conversation with from a Yankees fantasy baseball camp that he went to when he was 52 years old or whatever. And, he's got the jersey and he's like right next to, Roger Maris or whatever. And and that's him living out a childhood fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Like he always wanted to be a baseball player and now he can afford to go to like a fantasy Yankees camp or whatever. And you could sit there and say, boy, that's a stupid spend of money, or like it's so ridiculous that you.
But to him, it's everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you don't necessarily need an entire room in your house dedicated to your favorite baseball team, but he really loves the Yankees, so he wants to spend his money on that, and that's really important to him. And why do we get a say in that, or why should we?
And that's the thing. I mean, you can't blame someone for that because they're unapologetically into it. Like that's like his whole world. And like if John Mayer's into watches, like by all the power to you, like be into watches. Or if you're into travel or fishing or skiing, like whatever it is, just know your priorities and then stick to them and align yourself with that, because maybe that's where your happiness will fall.
Yeah. Well, I think being unapologetic is maybe something to strive for.
Yeah.
And actually, that's what I did when I hired that lawn company, Colin. I was saying, I know my priorities. My priority is to be with my daughter on a Friday afternoon instead of mowing the lawn. And now my daughter doesn't want to hang out with me on Friday. No, she still does now. I've got like a year or two.
Okay, fair enough. Well, maybe the problem is either you need a new lawn care service.
I think I need your lawn care service.
My lawn care service is great. I'll give you a referral.
Yeah, please.
And I don't know if they come to Hampton, but anyway, so we'll talk. Either that, or maybe you just need to get a great new tractor and be super pumped about it.
I would really love to do the lawn again. That's the thing. I think what I'll have to do is just not come to the office. I'm sorry, Colin. I'm going to take from you. I can't take from my daughter.
Yes. Start a lawn care service instead. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Compound Growth. We hope this conversation leaves you feeling more empowered to simplify your life, pass on better money habits, and focus on what truly brings you joy. As you work toward your financial goals, remember that part of the reward is creating a smoother path for the next generation. Keep evaluating what's worth your energy and let go of what's not, so you can keep building a life that feels both intentional and fulfilling. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a friend, and thanks for tuning in.
Compound Growth with Wheeler and Colin. Sponsored by Ko-Fi Advisors. Reach out today. Yay!